Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook NFL podcast, brought to you by our proud partners, Sasha Legal. I'm Jakob Funk and I'm joined by Josh Clutterbuck and Eden Richards. This week we'll be recapping a wild and wacky week 3 in the NFL, pretty low scoring, and bringing you everything that you need to know ahead of week 4, including trade-ins, trade-outs, captaincy options, who you should be fading. If we're panicking on some of the guns, that's all coming up a little bit later in the show. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and Apple or Spotify, wherever you're listening, because we'll have this coming out each and every week throughout the season. We'll also have weekly articles from our team of contributors, including these boys, over at scplaybook.com.au. Also, make sure that you're giving us a like on socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at SC Playbook NFL. It's also not too late to join our SC Playbook Unlimited League. The code is 819860. Take us all on. If you knock off everyone, all the contributors and everyone in the league, it's $1,000 if you're a subscriber and $500 if you're not a subscriber, with $500 going to the top ranked subscriber in that situation. So make sure that you are subscribed. You get access to premium content, including extra articles, the WhatsApp community, and that extra league prize money. And it costs less than $2 a week. So you can sign up via the menu on the website. Boys, week 3, as I said, it was a bit of a weird one. How did we go this week? We'll start with you, Mr. 10th overall, or maybe no longer 10th overall.
Mate, no longer 10th overall. We've dropped down to 13, still number 1 in Queensland, in the greatest state of all, so not too upset with that. But it was a very weird week across the board. Look, CD Lamb going down without scoring a point was pretty crap. Having a look here, Jamar Chase didn't score well. Malik Neighbours, who last week scored really well, but I was a bit iffy on keeping, only scored 4 points, so he didn't even contribute to me this week. But running backs did pretty well. I had Hampton on the bench, unfortunately, instead of Ingenti, who scored only 12 points for me. I think I scored, it was 418. So I've dropped down a couple of rungs in the rankings, but look, it seemed like everyone had a pretty average week. There was some weird top scorers this week, that's for sure. Having a look, like old mate was it Tucker from the Raiders this week was the number 1 scorer with 73 points. And the bloke's only scored 103 all season. So, and you know, Minnesota Vikings defense, if you had them, congratulations. The third highest scorer this week was 60. So, yeah, look, I think we're starting to see how difficult Supercoach NFL can be, because we've got some of the bigger names in our teams and they didn't perform on the weekend where usually you think they would. And yeah, like sub 500 score, I'm not too happy with, but it looks like everyone else sort of was on a similar sort of trajectory.
Yeah, 4-5-1, which
nice.
I'm actually pretty happy with, considering how tough a week it was, especially with some guns just really failing to fire. Good old Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson just keep getting it done, and we'll harp on about it all the time, but those two have to be in your team. Jahmyr Gibbs, again, just an absolute freak. That 1-2 punch that Detroit have with their running backs, I think we're starting to see that a few weeks in, just how powerful that offense is going to be again this season. Smith and Jigba, 36, I was really happy with. McBride, 25. He's just really consistent every week, putting up 20, 25s each week in the tight end position. And it was nice for the Philly Eagles to score 26 and actually score some points for once. So I was actually going to trade them last week, and I'm glad I kept them. So all in all, not a bad week, but there's definitely a few little spot fires I need to put out.
Definitely was a bad week for me. 389. I thought that I had a bad NRL Supercoach season, and I think I've just realised that it can always get worse.
Yeah.
Some of my great contributors this week: Saquon Barkley, 14 points. Thanks for that. Brock Bowers, once again, 15 points. He's been pretty average. Jamar Chase, 12 points. Genty, 12 points. It's like the guys that I'm spending all my money on are doing absolute crap. So even the normally ever reliable Tyler Loop, yeah, shout out. My team name is Loop the Loop for him, and even he only managed me 14 points. So like, yeah, look, definitely some soul searching to do for Team Loop the Loop this week. I think we really need to go in and really train hard this week and really figure out what we're doing, because
100%.
It is struggle street. I'm currently ranked outside the top 5,000. I'm ranked 5,124. So I'm catching you, Clutsy. I'm only 5,100. I'm only 5,100 ranking points behind you there.
Yeah, look, good luck, bro. It's going to be a long haul. But, yeah, look, I think there's just a couple of, like, real disappointing performances across the board that brought a lot of teams down this week. And from a punting perspective, my God, Saquon Barkley cost me a day. But, yeah, I don't know. There's a couple of players that you look at. I think preseason, I said my biggest issue with Saquon was Hurts is going to take touchdowns from him, which he did on the weekend. Yeah, there's just a couple of, like, even Jamar Gibbs today performed quite well with the score of, I believe, 36. Unless I'm looking at next
48.
48. That works well too. But he had 2 touchdowns potentially taken off him by Montgomery as well. One of them was a 70-yarder. So, like, I'm stoked with a score of 48, but, like, imagine what that could have been if he had those extra 2. Like, we're talking like a 70 score there. So, got to be mindful of that sort of stuff.
I think what makes Supercoach NFL so hard is just the unpredictability of the NFL as well. Like the Browns beating the Packers. Like, who would have thought that? It is a bloody tough competition and a very unpredictable competition, and we're just finding that out looking at some of these players. So we can't score awesome every week, but it's a new week, boys. So let's be positive.
That's it. No, I'm
Can't
with
score
you
terribly
there.
every week as well. Surely I've got a good week coming up.
That's it.
At some point or another. So with that in mind, we'll get into we'll start on a positive note this week. We'll start with our most traded in players because we'll save up all our negativity and hatred towards the players in our team for later.
Yep.
So the most traded in player this week, we did touch on him last week. I wasn't sure, but this week, Puka Nacua so far, 13.7% of trades. He's been on fire for the Rams, hasn't he, boys?
Yeah, mate, he has. And I think the biggest thing that we were talking about was his injury history and whether he could keep it together. And at the moment, like Stafford's been throwing where he's not getting the big hits. And I think he's taking care of his body a little bit more as well. He is the number 1 scoring receiver at the moment. Nice and consistent. I think he's got a good stretch of games coming up, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, look, I can see why people are bringing him in. He's got the Colts, then San Fran, then Baltimore, then Jacksonville, then New Orleans, then San Fran again, and then Seattle and Tampa. Like, there's a lot of teams at Carolina as well. Like, the only team looking at this that you'd sort of be concerned about is maybe San Fran with their secondary and possibly Tampa as well. But I think, like, he's poised for a big season. I'm definitely looking at possibly trying to get him into my team at some point. But, yeah.
He's got the most yards this season out of any wide receiver, the most receptions this season out of any wide receiver, and he's only scored 1 touchdown. So his scores could get even bigger.
That's always been the biggest knock on Puka since entering the league, is his touchdowns. So I think we said at the start of the season as well, or a couple of weeks ago when mentioning him, that if he could just increase that touchdown rate and stay healthy, like, the sky's the limit for the big dog. So without Cooper Kupp there either, he does have Devontae Adams, who's also been eating a bit there, but I think Puka has become that clear-cut number 1 wide receiver down there for the Rams. And I even saw ESPN the other day on one of their shows was discussing him as possibly the best wide receiver in the league, which is absolutely mental to, he's only a few years in, and I think some of these other fellas have been victims of poor quarterback play, but huge props to him for even being in that conversation.
I think the biggest thing with Puka, and, like, you're going to get this with the Rams as well, like, to a lesser extent you're getting this with Devontae Adams as well. But, for example, this game that they had just on the weekend, this crazy game against Philly, Matt Stafford, 33 passing attempts, Nacua, 15 targets.
Yeah.
Like, he just feeds it's a real, like, funnel offense. Like, he just feeds it to, like, his top guys.
Yep.
And clearly for him this year, particularly with no Cooper Kupp there, Puka Nacua is just the guy. And he's just getting absolutely fed. And it was to the point, it's almost like what I was thinking with the running backs before the season started, how I thought, like, if I get these guys in, like, at least, like, they're going to be fed the ball. They're going to get, even if they're not that good. But, geez, Nacua is he's getting absolutely fed and absolutely funneled with targets there. So I don't think anyone would disagree with you if you were one of those jumping on board and trading him in this week. The second most traded in player this week, running back from the Colts, Jonathan Taylor, has been absolutely on fire to start the season. The Colts, really, largely as a team, have been the story of the season so far in terms of success. Like, how good is Jonathan Taylor really? Like, what do you guys think?
I think he had 3 touchdowns on the weekend as well. I think Indianapolis has really just shot up in the rankings this year. Like, he's come out of absolutely nowhere. Jonathan Taylor was at one point one of the consensus number one running backs, I believe. And, he's had a couple of off years due to injury and them not being too good. But looking at his stats so far, 60 carries, 338 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 5.6 yards per carry. Look.
Even had 4 targets, 3 receptions on the weekend as well, which doesn't hurt. And that's not necessarily what he was always known for.
And I think if you're going to get him this week, it's probably the week. He's got a -9 break even. He's probably going to go up $3 million just after this week alone. So he's going to be out of reach for a lot of people if he isn't already. So if you have the cash, it's a bit of a no-brainer.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well we're starting to see that the running back position might be. It comes as no surprise because running backs probably have the least amount of competition on the team in terms of targets and carries and whatnot. Jonathan Taylor doesn't really have a backup that's going to take carries away from him. The only thing is Daniel Jones does like to run it in for a few touchdowns. So, it did take until this week for Taylor to actually score touchdowns. But, I think we're going to start looking at a lot of people beefing up their running back position to get consistent points.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say about Taylor is that his run coming up, I guess really short term, doesn't look too bad, but looking ahead, looks like he might have a few tougher matchups. So he's got Rams, Las Vegas, Arizona, the Chargers, and then Tennessee, Pittsburgh. But then if you look into a little bit further, you look at some of these ones like the Chargers, as well, they've got Atlanta and stuff. These are defenses that have actually done not too badly so far. But yeah, as we touched on, I think if you're wanting to get Jonathan Taylor in, which it looks like he's going to be one of the guys to have this season, I think we all agree by the end of the year. Do we all agree that we want Jonathan Taylor in our final lineup?
Yeah.
I just can't afford him this week.
Yeah, I can't afford him. So, but I can definitely see why people are getting him in for sure.
Yeah. So number 3, a guy has only scored, I think, 1 point less than Puka Nacua so far this season. So the second ranked wide receiver is Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was again amazing this week, and I'm so glad that I'm an owner of Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, he's an absolute freak, mate. I just love having him in my team. I think that first week against against the Packers was really uncharacteristic of him. He scored 34 points this week, which seems like a down week for him, but it's very consistent. He's a clear-cut number one receiver there. He's also got Jamo Williams on the edges with him, and Sam Laporta. Basically, they all work in tandem to have one of them open. And Goff, his pocket presence and just his poise this year has been really good. It's something he's worked on the last few years since getting to Detroit. I think Amon-Ra is going to have a huge year. He's going to be up there in the top 5 receiving yards. So, yeah, I can definitely see why people have him.
Yeah, and they even had that double pass to him today. You see that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're really clearly trying to scheme stuff up to get him open and to get him looks. And he is really consistent as well. It just feels like he's just there or thereabouts pretty much each and every week. A guy that wasn't really on our radar but just absolutely killed it this week is Trey Tucker, the wide receiver from the Vegas Raiders. Do we think, is this a flash in the pan, or do you think, are you thinking cash grab, or do you think he could actually be something going forward?
I think huge cash grab. I'm not looking at him at all. I think this is a very knee-jerk reaction to a guy who scored 70 points in 1 week.
Yeah, he's going to go up cash. He's got a -24 break even, but he's scored 66% of his points in 1 week. Seems like a real flash in the pan. I'll be pretty wary, and I think he might make cash pretty quickly for a few weeks, but I could see him stalling pretty quick, and then he might start going the other way. So I'll just be wary of bringing these guys that are probably around that mid-range that have had 1 or 2 really standout weeks, because as we've seen, it doesn't take long for them to have a poor week, and then their break even just resets and they start losing money.
Yeah, 100%. I just think Jacoby Myers is the number 1 guy there. You've also got Brock Bowers, and then you've also got the inconsistent quarterback play of Geno Smith. So I don't see why you'd be bringing as Eden just said then, temporary cash grab for probably not a long-term gain.
Yeah, so he's got like negative 24 break even. So like if you are wanting that cash grab, it's probably like he's not the worst option in the world. Like Chicago next week, Indiana, Tennessee, like potentially like he could be making some cash over those next three. And like maybe you want to run him those next 3 weeks. Then he's got Kansas City, who they've been able to stifle teams a bit, and then he's got a bye after that. So maybe you want to trade him out around then if you are getting him in.
Yeah.
Personally, I do not think I'll be one of those people, but if you want to be on board with a guy that just had 8 catches, 145 yards, and 3 touchdowns, good for you.
Yeah, just having a quick look at like his historical stats against teams. Like he's played Chicago once for 5 points, Colts once for 9. There's a couple of teams there like. The highest amount of points he's ever scored was today, and individually the highest amount of points he's ever scored from a Supercoach perspective is 25. So, yeah, look, I just think there's too many mouths to feed there. He's going to be a guy that will get you temporary cash, but then you'll be trading out pretty quickly in the coming weeks.
Yeah, like considering he played every game last year and had 3 touchdowns receiving all season and 1 rushing touchdown. So, yeah, it's only his second multi-touchdown multiple touchdown game of his career as well. His previous career high in receiving yards was 96. So
I'm so high on the next guy. I think he's so underpriced still.
Yeah, the next guy he's a guy that we haven't spoken about too much really since the start of the show, like the first few episodes. But he is really a guy that's like on the up. He's on the up. Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Eden, you've been pretty high on him for a couple of years, I suppose, from a draft perspective as well. Like you always seem to go for him. He's relatively new. I wasn't too sure about having Sam Darnold there, even though he did well last year. And there's not really proven receivers outside of him playing for Seattle. So, are you obviously you're still high on him?
Yeah, I'm still high on him. He's been doing. He's just been so consistent. He's a true number 1 receiver there now because they lost Metcalf and Lockett, and someone had to take those receptions, and he's put his hand up. He's third amongst wide receivers for receptions this year. He's got 323 receiving yards, which is second in the league for wide receivers. Yep. He's only got 1 receiving TD again, so there is room to improve there. But look, he is just doing the damn thing every week, and I still think he's really underpriced, and he's going to keep going up in price. So he's someone that if you can't afford one of those wide receivers like a Puka or something like that, I think you should be looking at Smith and Jigba, definitely.
Yeah, that's definitely...
sums it up, really.
Yeah, it sums it up perfectly. Like, no more to say on that one.
He's a very good option there in the mid-range. A guy that we spoke about a lot last week, a lot of people are still jumping on for this week, though, is Rome Odunze, wide receiver from Chicago. Still got a negative 25 break even, but are you guys worried it's maybe a week too late, or is it still a good time to jump on? I
still don't think it's a week too late. Caleb Williams looked really good the other week. He's still only priced at 11.39 mil. And when you say, like, he's gone up 3.3 already, considering... What was his break even there? Minus 25, and they're coming up against the Raiders, who haven't been great this season. Rome could eat.
Caleb cooked.
He
looked so good.
He won you a draft win.
And Rome's going to keep getting targets and keep getting that ball, and Caleb is cooking. So, again, he's cheap. So,
Michaelis Cowboys are so bad that they even revived Caleb Williams' career.
Yeah, I was going to say, it helped that Dallas' secondary was so dog shit, but,
Honestly, I think Dallas is the team this year where it's like, if you've got a bloke on your bench, it almost doesn't matter how shit they normally are. If they're playing Dallas that week, you've almost got to get them in. Just sub them in for that week. But I think
100%.
probably not a week too late. Not too late for Rome Odunze. The only thing to keep in mind, though, is that he does have a bye in week 5. So just keep an eye on that one. And if you really need guys to play for you, maybe think twice about getting him in this week. Number 7, a guy that we spoke about last week and a guy that's completely derailed everyone around him is Quinshon Judkins from Cleveland. He's, as we said last week, questionable morals. Made sure that he ensured they missed the first week. So his price hasn't gone up yet. So he will go up in price next week. and probably by some margin as well. His break even, as it currently stands, actually hasn't updated yet.
Minus 27 I've got here.
There we go. Okay, yeah.
So he scored 48 points in 2 games. 31 of those came last week. He's coming up against Detroit this week. Cleveland have been nowhere near as bad as what we thought they'd be, largely because Joe Flacco's still in there. But I reckon we can probably put Judkins and the next guy together, Scatterbo here. 2 rookie running backs that are definitely their number one options.
Scatterbo looked awesome.
Scatterbo now also has no one to compete with because Tyrone Tracy's gone down injured. But
dislocated shoulder for Tracy, so he'll miss, I think they're saying, probably 2 to 4 weeks. Similar injury to Xavier Worthy, they're saying.
Yeah, and Scatterbo's got a minus 35 break even this week. Like, he's just an absolute dog. And Judkins and Scatterbo are a similar type of running back where they just get the ball and run hard.
Head down.
That's it. They're only young as well, so like they don't really have too much injury history. I've probably just cursed them there, but
mate,
yeah. Look, like if you're disappointed with, say, your Henderson or even Genty, who hasn't been that great this year, if you're disappointed with the performances of those number 3, except for Amari and Hampton, who's come out awesome. If you're disappointed in those 3 rookies that we spoke about at the start of the year, Judkins and Scatterbo are now looking to really take control of the offenses that they're in.
Yeah, Scat is taking control of the offense, led the team in targets, receptions, and carries. Yep. He is the offense. So, they're going to keep feeding him. I'm trying to find a way to get him in this week.
Yeah, if anyone's familiar with Scatterbo, like he was just like the amount of carries he had in college was ridiculous. He just kept grounding and pounding, and he's just an absolute nutcase. So, yeah, I think God, with a minus 35 break even, like he's someone that I'm definitely looking at, and Judkins as well with that minus 27 break even. He's also another man I'm looking at to bring into this team.
Out of the 2, which are you bringing in? So we had Scatterbo this week, had a lot more receiving work. Like he had 8 targets and brought in 6 of them for like 61 receiving yards. So a lot more receiving work for Scatterbo, but geez, Judkins just got absolutely fed. I think he had something like 18 carries. Yeah, so he had 18 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown. And only 2 targets. Out of the 2 of them, keeping in mind that Judkins is yet to have his first price rise, who are you going for out of the 2 of them?
Jeez, that's a tough one.
I'm probably going Scat just because of the way that they're using him both through the air and running. I think he literally is their offense at the moment. So he's probably my pick. My only worry is that they use him too much and he gets too banged up. But at the moment, just leaning towards him.
My worry with Scat is that Wilson is just that bad, but he seemed to perform pretty well behind that offensive line. They do have the Chargers this week, which is a bit scary, but man, I legit think it's a flip of a coin. Hey, like Judkins is obviously getting fed. Like if he's had, what was that, 19 carries?
Yeah, 18.
18 carries and 94 yards. Like that's ridiculous. So my worry is, are they going to be playing from behind too often? So I'd actually probably be going Judkins here over Scat, but I probably would change my mind by the end of this podcast.
So the next guy on the list is Hunter Henry, tight end from New England. He absolutely cooked on the weekend, had 50 points.
Yeah.
He's played through the first 3 games, 93% of snaps, 85% of snaps, 81% of snaps.
Drake May loves him.
He is getting absolutely funneled. Like 11 targets on the weekend.
Yeah.
We've spoken about some of the other tight end options over the last few weeks. Do you think that Hunter Henry should be up there in that group? Because we know, particularly now, like with guys like Tucker Kraft, whoever.
Yeah. Look, I think at the moment the Patriots' offense is too inconsistent to rely on Henry coming in. He scored 69 points all year, and 50 of those came on the weekend.
Yep.
So I think it could be a bit of an overreaction, a knee-jerk reaction to a big weekend. But Eden and I are Patriots supporters, and we see this all the time. Henry has a game in him where he has 2 or 3 touchdowns.
He's a good player.
He is a very good player, and I think we spoke about earlier in the year, when you're a young quarterback and you're struggling out there, you always look for your tight end as that check down option. So I think that's where he can excel. But as you said, he had 11 targets, 8 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. In the first week, 8 targets, 4 receptions for 66 yards, had an off game against Miami. I think if Drake May starts humming, Hunter Henry's someone you need to look at as a point of difference tight end.
Yeah.
He's obviously not your New England Gronkowski level, but New England has in a Josh McDaniels offense always gone quite heavy at the tight end position and really values that tight end position. So he's genuinely someone I might be looking at down the line.
Yeah, I guess at the moment I'm just struggling to find a situation where you would bring him in. Again, I've said it a million times that I've got McBride, Bowers and Warren, but I'm just trying to – I don't know what situation to be in right now where you think you have to bring him in. Like, I just don't think he's someone that you need to rush in or anything like that, especially with the Pats offense that are so up and down, fumbly, dropping catches. So bit of a hard watch.
So the guy that has been traded in for the most this week, somehow people still have George Kittle on their roster. Yeah. So if you have George Kittle, just get rid of him. He's not playing for a while. Travis Kelce, Brock Bowers, Tucker Kraft, the next three guys that people are trading out for Hunter Henry.
Yeah, look,
makes me raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, look, I personally wouldn't be going for him yet. I want to see more out of the Patriots. It's got nothing to do with Hunter Henry. It's more so got to do with, with Drake May and how he goes in that offense. But, look, I think there's a lot of panic stations still on certain players, which we'll get into later. But, for the moment, I'm, not too upset with...
Just really quickly, with you guys both being Patriots fans, irrespective of how well you think he's going to do in the future, Drake May right now, do you want him as the quarterback of one of your guys in Supercoach? How much do you believe in him right now for this season?
Oh, for Supercoach, it's tough to say, man. Like, he is... I rate him. He's had a good couple of games, but he's got a couple of terrible games in him as well.
He's not consistent.
He's only scored 123 points so far this year, which is pretty decent. Considering his first week. So he's gone 31, 52, and 40. Don't exactly have the toughest strength of schedule coming up. We've got Carolina.
They have a really easy schedule.
I think it's one of the easiest schedules. Buffalo will be difficult, but NOLA, Tennessee, they'll be difficult. Cleveland... Nola and Tennessee won't be. Cleveland could be because of Myles Garrett. And then Atlanta, Tampa, Jets, Cincy, Giants. Like, that's a great run to look at him. Buffalo, Baltimore, shootouts, Jets and Miami to finish. He could be someone to look at, but I don't think I need to say too much more on it. Barring injury, I think I'll be Lamar and Josh Allen all year. That's two trades I don't need to make.
I'm talking more about, like, in terms of if you've got Patriots receivers, like guys that Drake May's going to be throwing to in your roster.
I wouldn't trust anyone out.
I think it's more the receiving core, to be honest. It's not Drake's fault. He's playing. He's doing pretty well.
He's playing well, and he's looking for the guy that's open. I think the only person, depending on play, that you could rely on would be Hunter Henry, but we're still a couple of weeks away from seeing that.
Fair enough. Number 10 on the list for most traded in players this week is James Cook, 2.1%. Yeah. I think him at his price, $19.9 million, if you're getting in James Cook, try and find yourself another $1.8 million and get in Jonathan Taylor. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Yep. I think we spoke about Cook last week being someone to bring in. He scored 38 points again this week. And they've got New Orleans. Like, they've got a pretty decent schedule. They got an easy schedule as well, let's be honest. That division as a whole does. But I still have my concerns that he's going to have stuff taken away from him, from Josh Allen. And they're starting to play some of their backups as well a little bit more. So... we'll see what happens. I think he's not a bad option to get in, but if you can go that extra mile and get Jonathan Taylor in, who's that clear-cut number one, I'll be looking at that instead.
Yeah, very good. I still rate him pretty highly, but again, there's a lot of options at that price, and you've really got to be careful with who you go with. So, JT might be the option.
Very good. All right, so before we go any further and get into our trade options, captaincy calls, and the biggest trade outs for this week, we've got to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Sasha Legal.
Yes, we do, Funky. Think of them like your set and forget captain in the courtroom. There's no DMPs, no dud picks, just straight wins.
Exactly. When it comes to disputes and litigation, Sasha Legal is like locking in a premium QB1 as captain, something that we highly recommend every week. No wasted trades. No, they don't loophole arguments. They just rack up points week after week.
And let's be be real. In Supercoach, we all make rookie mistakes at some point, like keeping Tyreek Hill. But in law, you don't want that. Sasha Legal is the premium pick, the point of difference that always delivers.
Your case is their grand final. Every move counts, and Sasha Legal plays the full 80 or the full 4 quarters if you're thinking NFL.
So if you need serious legal muscle off the field, lock them in. Sasha Legal, your captain's choice for litigation. They have offices in Sydney and Brisbane, but it doesn't matter where you're based. Reach out, they'll look after you. To do so, flick them a message on Instagram at sasha.legal, call them on 073185 2404 or email info@sashalegal.com.au. One of the all-time great ad reads there, Funky. Good stuff, mate. We're loving it.
Thank you very much, mate. All right, moving on to trade outs.
Yep.
Like, it's not doing so hot at the moment. CD Lamb, we mentioned him a little bit earlier.
Yeah, mate, I can see why. We probably don't have to talk too much about this one. CD got injured right at the start of the game. He was doing a running play, negative yardage. He got a DMP, so no points for that one. And Jerry Jones initially said, yeah, he's sweet, it's going to be all right, but it's looking like at least 4 weeks.
It wouldn't be like Jerry Jones to say something that eventually turned out to be incorrect.
Exactly, mate. He's a bit of a weirdo old jezza. But, no, mate, I think this one's just like just straight up and down.
Like, would you guys consider keeping him at all?
Look, I think if I was confident in the guys I've got on the bench and there was more of a definitive timeline on when he comes back, I would look at, if I had, or at the moment I've got Golden and a Buka on my bench, like, if it was only 2 weeks or something like that, I'd probably consider keeping him, to be honest. But until we find out more, he's probably someone that you can definitely see why he's going to go.
Yeah. So there's a chance he goes on IR, which would see him miss at least 4 weeks. Yep. So I think we were all probably in agreement.
Yeah. The latest is that it's significant time. So just straight out, get another gun receiver for me.
Yeah.
Too easy. So I guess there's a few other guns on this list that we'll touch on in a second. But moving on, we'll just quickly touch on some of the young guys that are being traded out.
Yeah.
Travion Henderson, Travis Hunter. We'll start with Travion. Fumble Rooski on his old teammate Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah.
Would that be a reason for you to keep Travion Henderson?
I'm keeping Henderson. I said from the beginning, I don't think he's going to have the biggest production at the start. But I don't really believe in Ramondre. I think we overpaid for him. He loves to drop the ball. I think Eden said, does he have the biggest drop rate out of running backs?
He's got the highest fumble rate out of any current running back in the NFL.
Which is just ridiculous. And
Gee, thank God he's not on my team.
Mate, it's just like, in the NFL, they value holding that ball so much. And New England was terrible on the weekend with it.
It cost us the
game.
Yeah.
I think we had 2 Ramondres, a Travion, a Drake May, maybe even Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, I think there was
like 5 or 6 fumbles, which is just ridiculous. You're never going to win games like that. But everyone said in the preseason, like, Ramondre's super talented, but it's all about his ball control. He hasn't learned. He's still losing the pill. I think Travion, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to start to see him unleashed as Drake's unleashed a bit more. I know I said you can't rely on anyone in the Patriots offense, but if you've already got 4 guys that you're happy to start at your running back and you have Travion, I don't see a reason why you should be getting rid of him.
What about Travis Hunter?
Travis Hunter, put him in the bin. I heard a statistic today that Trevor Lawrence, when targeting Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr., is like the 40-something ranked quarterback out of all the quarterbacks that have played this year on PFF rankings.
Keep in mind, there's only 32 teams in the NFL.
Yeah, so there's like other guys that have
like
played.
Half the backups.
Yeah, so all the backups that have played.
Half the backups that have played are outplaying him.
When he's thrown to Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr., it's been terrible. Whether that's they're running bad routes or they're just not doing well is another thing. But when he's throwing to other people, he's the number 1 ranked. So, look, I just think Travis Hunter, like what is he going to be?
He's having way more impact on defense at the moment.
Yeah,
with his stats. And he was only targeted twice on the weekend. He's a sell for mine.
He's gotten scores of 12, 7, and 5.
He's starting to lose cash, which is impressive at his price.
Yeah, it's actually he's predicted to lose 190K this week, which is ridiculous. So this is his next stretch. San Fran, Kansas, Seattle, Rams. Then he's got Vegas, which could be a good game.
And they'll need him on defense for those games too.
Yeah.
Like,
he's so valuable on defense.
Against these good QBs, they'll need him on defense, which probably means he's less impactful on offense, you'd think, right?
For me, the only games I'd be starting him for considering starting him for the next little while or for the rest of the season, week 9 against Vegas, week 13 against Tennessee, and week 15 against the Jets, and then finally week 18. In
the bin.
If I had him, I'd only be considering him for 4 games. In the bin. There's so many better options out there. Just rip the Band-Aid off and say, see you later till next year, bro.
This next guy I'm going to talk about, we're skipping over a few guys here because we'll get back to them. But one of these next guys we're speaking about, I think this is absolutely ludicrous that he is one of the most traded out players this week. Zay Flowers, one bad week. People say, nah, that's enough. Sick of you, in the bin. If you traded him in, because surely a lot of these guys are trading him out, guys that traded him in like a week ago.
100%.
Or 2 weeks ago. He's just gone up $700K. For these people, what has changed in the last week from one performance in which the team scored 30 points that you're seriously going, you know what? I actually want him out of my team now.
Yeah, I think if you went for a cash grab, which he only got you $720K, you'd be pretty disappointed. Just looking at the percentages, he went from a 6.1% owned to 16.9 the second week to 18 the third. Look, I'd be pretty filthy if I did bring him in. I think we spoke about how he could become that number 1 receiver, and he looked like the guy for Lamar Jackson, but he's got a tough stretch of games coming up. I think Lamar's proving once again that he's only going to throw to the guy that's open. Mark Andrews got 2 touchdowns today, who has been terrible all season.
Old washed Mark Andrews, who's in a battle with Travis Kelce to see who can be the most washed tight end in the league.
Yeah.
He targeted 9 different people, Lamar, today. So he was just sharing the ball around. It's a bad week. Their offense is still pretty unbelievable, and there's going to be games where Zay Flowers scores a couple of touchdowns and makes you bulk cash and scores a lot of points. So.
I feel like he's a massive big game player, so I honestly think he's going to go well against Kansas this week. So it might be worthwhile holding on to him for another week. The issue that I am seeing is a break even of 37.
Yeah,
that's a massive break even for a guy that's worth 12.49 mil. Losing cash there. There's not many options at the moment that you probably want to be changing to.
Yeah, I don't think that his trade out, to put it on the record, I wouldn't trade him in at this point. I wouldn't. I'm glad that I didn't, even though I considered it a couple of weeks ago. But I think surely if you traded him in the first place, it'd be because you think that he's going to be a focal point. And even though he only had 3 targets today, I would not be panicking that much that I'm trading him out, even though I only just traded him in. At that point, you're just burning trades, personally.
100%, man.
Yep.
I think the risk reward is there, so I'd be sticking with him if I traded him in.
A couple guys that we'll loop in together here: Ashton Genty, RJ Harvey, 2 underperforming rookies, but the big one, 6 overall for Ashton Genty.
They're just not using him in Vegas. I don't think, from a guy who's never played the sport and just sits on his ass playing Madden, they're not using him correctly. They just need to... You don't invest the number 6 pick in a draft and have him carry the ball, next to no times in a game. I just don't... A lot of people were very high on the Raiders this year, and I don't think they're living up to expectations. And maybe they were overhyped. Just having a look here, through the regular season so far, he's tied 10th with 47 carries. He's 24th with 144 yards. He's only averaging 3.1 yards per carry, and he's only scored the 1 touchdown so far. So on the weekend, he had 17 carries to 63 yards, which was one of the better games for him.
He's still carrying it a lot.
He's still carrying it a lot. So, look, I think he's only going to get better. They also got blown out by the Commanders, 41-24. So, yeah, look,
I'm keeping him on my bench. I think he's still going to make money this week. I'm not going to trade him if he's just going to make money, and he's still getting fed. So, I'm going to be patient with him.
He's literally 1 carry away from, he's just another carry away from having an 80-yard touchdown.
I took him in the first round in fantasy, so how do you think I feel?
Yeah, terrible.
Probably feel like a big dumb idiot, just like I am for having RJ Harvey in my team at the moment with J.K. Dobbins. I think RJ Harvey it feels like at the moment until actually I don't want to say until because he's playing really well, but if J.K. Dobbins gets injured, that's when RJ Harvey I think will be a good option. I think until that time comes, I think he's just getting overshadowed. It looks like in Denver there. So.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like he's the conversation was will he take over? But JK's just been playing way too well. There is another fella, guys, who's just come in. I've just updated my my browser who's taken over RJ in the 10 spot. Derrick Henry with a break even of 81 this week. He's come off. He's fumbled 3 games in a row now, which is very uncharacteristic. He only scored 20 points this week after scoring 56 the first week and 4 in the second week. He was very disappointed with his own performance. I don't think he's going to hit that 81 now it is against Kansas. Look, I can see why people are getting rid of Derek, but I think if you're an owner, you need to hold. Yeah, he's just one of those pick and stick sort of fellas.
Yeah, and if he loses some money and he's going to be a season long hold, it doesn't really matter. Look, he's got the dropsies a little bit, but we know how much of a beast he is.
Yeah, exactly.
And just another one I'll just touch on really quickly. So talking about Baltimore, the Baltimore defense, who's gone absolute crap again this week.
Yeah.
They were pretty highly owned. They are the 9th most traded out player, or I guess this week.
Yeah.
They've got Kansas City this week, which will be game of the round.
I spoke about this one last week. Their stretch this year is...
Do you reckon the Chiefs are that good this year?
I don't think the Chiefs are that good, but the stretch that the Ravens have coming up, like I swapped last week the Ravens for the Packers, purely based on strength of schedule. Like you got Kansas, Houston, Rams, Chicago, all coming up in the next 4 weeks.
How happy are you with your decision?
Oh, stoked, mate. Like Green Bay might not make me money, but Green Bay's going up against the Cowboys this week, and Micah Parsons is going to eat. So I don't think Baltimore is that team this year with their defense. They're no longer a defensive team. They're Lamar Jackson. They're not defined by their defense anymore, so I don't think it's worth having them.
Absolutely. And another thing to keep an eye out for as well is they've got a bye coming up in week 7. So you won't be playing them that week, obviously, anyway. Guys, there's a few guys that we skipped over here, and there was a reason for that. We're going to do some gun panic ratings, the panic index for our guns. We're ranking them all out of 10. The number one guy, because he was just, we're all so on him at the start. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much are we panicking on Ja'Marr Chase?
For me, it's still very low. I'll probably go 3 out of 10, which might seem...
Second most traded out player this week he is.
Yeah, but
10% of trades.
It's a knee-jerk reaction. I think he's going to have a rough game against Denver once again. He does have Jake Browning, but Browning is a proven commodity when he comes in. He had a bit of an off game this week. Look, I am a massive Ja'Marr Chase believer. I think they're going to find a way to get him the ball. They do have a bit of a rough schedule, but
I'm worried about the Bengals just in general.
I think you should be worried about any other player not named Ja'Marr Chase who is on that Bengals team.
Yeah, I was going to say 5. I'm halfway there to being.
Yeah. So touching on those other Bengals, he's only 2% owned, but T. Higgins, worrying signs for him.
Yeah.
Chase Brown in the bin, absolutely. I think are we all in agreement on that?
Chase Brown can get in the C. He is single-handedly destroying my season. I got a really good start here around how good Chase Brown's going. If you go back to the year 2000, Chase Brown has the fewest rushing yards through 3 games of a season by any running back who had 45 carries.
Holy.
25 years.
That's ridiculous.
Bad.
So he's going at 1.9 yards per carry at the moment.
That's bad.
It's a historically bad season
Something
at the moment.
Brown stain in your team.
He's a must trade for me this week. I don't know who yet, but he's a must trade.
You have to get rid of him. And we were talking like that offensive...
Anyone but Chase
Anyone.
That offensive line in Cincinnati is terrible. They've literally lost their QB for the year because of it.
Not for the first time either.
Yeah,
it's happened multiple times. How have they not learnt their lesson yet?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, look, I'd be getting rid of Chase Brown. T. Higgins, you should never have had at your team to start with. He is, obviously, he's been paid. He's awesome. But, why are you having T. Higgins when you got Ja'Marr Chase there?
Yep.
The inconsistency in weeks is, that's where it's going to get you. The only person you should be keeping from the Bengals is Ja'Marr Chase.
So I reckon about a 6.5 out of 10 panicking. I know that he had that big game 2 weeks ago, but geez, it might just get to the point where he's going to hemorrhage so much cash that even though, sure, maybe later in the year I want him back, like this, and yeah, sure, you only lose the money if you actually trade them out. But he lost $2 million this week, which is like how many guys? Like we're trying to generate all this cash. So I just hemorrhaged $2 million. Like if he continues to suck actually maybe not so much if he continues to suck. If the players around him continue to suck going forward, geez, I might give him 1 or 2 more weeks. But I think I need to see more consistent, like just play out of him. I can't deal with it. It's too stressful for me.
I'm more than happy to keep him because I could come back to bite me in the ass, but you don't trade your guns. He's like a top 2, top 3 receiver in the comp. He might even be the best one. You don't get rid of him. Like doesn't, like you have a look at like a player like a Chris Olave, for example, who has Spencer Rattler throwing him the ball. Chris Olave's eating. Why is that? Because he's the best player on the team. You don't not target your best player. So I think Browning isn't necessarily the greatest quarterback. He did have 9 games with him back in 2023. So, look, I just think there's no point in getting rid of Jamar Chase. He's too good for me.
Well, then,
in 2023, for example, so half the season he didn't have Joe Burrow. He still had 100 receptions, 1,216 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So, like, he's still going to produce. It's obviously not to the same level, but for me, there's no way I'm getting rid of him.
Well, then how about we'll move to another gun that's been disappointing so far. Another gun wide receiver, Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
Are you panicking about him?
I never really had him on my radar because I wasn't sure about JJ McCarthy. If I was a Jefferson owner, I think Eden said it last week, I'd be feeling better about having Carson Wentz.
Yep. So he had 7 targets, 5 receptions, 75 yards on the weekend.
That's good.
He'll be all right with Wentz.
It's not what you want out of a guy that's like one of the guns on your team, though, I don't think. It's still a subpar performance.
For $16.89 million, this might sound crazy, but like yes, it's only 20 points, but I think him and Wentz are going to have a better connection. But how long that will be for, we don't know. I probably have a 5 out of 10. I'm a bit mid on this one. I'm happy to pick and stick with it because once again, he's a top 3 receiver in the league.
Tough matchup this week. He's got the Steelers.
Yeah. He's actually got a lot of tough matchups. Maybe... Yeah, I think it's the same story, man. If you're a gun player, they're not going to not try and get the ball to you. Yeah, so
I would be a 5 as well. I think he's better with Wentz, and I think like last week, first game with a new quarterback again, he still he had a solid production, and I'd back him to. I reckon he'll actually play pretty well against the Steelers. So, maybe about a 4 or 5, but he's a freak. So
yeah.
Maybe that's a Dublin game. Maybe we'll get Guinness in him and it'll be good to go. I'm personally probably about a 5. I think I'm more concerned for Justin Jefferson long term, but in terms of I'm worried that the Jamar Chase thing. I know it's just because he doesn't have Burrow there, right? Whereas I'm worried that Justin Jefferson, it's a less fixable solution because I don't know if McCarthy's any good.
Yeah.
So I think that's one that I'll at least wait to see how he looks. Couple games with McCarthy, or you never know. He could really take off with Wentz.
McCarthy's not coming back, baby. Wentz to the Super Bowl.
I'm
still in a fold.
I'm probably about a 4 on Jefferson. Next guy, Saquon Barkley, who
I don't think he should be on the list.
He's still a gun.
Yeah,
I've only put him on the list because I'm not panicking on Saquon Barkley. I think I'm about a 2. I'm only got him on the list because he's the 3rd most traded out player this week. He scored 14 points on the weekend, which obviously isn't amazing.
If you've traded out Saquon Barkley, you are an absolute idiot.
Would you consider trading out Saquon Barkley if you had him to get Jonathan Taylor in? If that's what it took to get Jonathan Taylor in?
Because you're wasting a trade.
We all said at the start of the season, Barkley probably wasn't going to do what he did last year, but he's still going to have a very good season.
Yeah.
And look, the Eagles are very good, and he's still getting fed. And look, there's still games where Hurts scores touchdowns and Barkley doesn't. But yeah, Saquon, just don't be silly.
So he still had 18 carries and 4 receptions on the weekend.
Yeah.
So he's still getting plenty of ball.
Yeah.
That's why I said I'm a 2. I'm not worried.
I'd be a 1.
I think the people that are trading him out, sure, he hasn't produced the numbers yet this year, but I'm
going to say I'm a 1. I'm a definite 1 on this one. Like, he is...
You want to go negative numbers?
Yeah, negative 1,000, mate. There's no point in getting rid of this bloke. Like, why would you? He's just too good.
What about the next guy on the list, Brock Bowers? We've seen him be traded out by quite a few people last week.
Yep.
Are you panicking on Brock Bowers?
I'm probably a little bit more up in the air about it now. I think I'm probably about a 6. I think the issue is, once again, new quarterback, second season. He's got that sophomore slump, sort of, which you don't particularly see. But I think this is more on Gino than it is on Brock. So, look, once Gino remembers that you throw to your guns, I think we should be sweet. But, yeah, I'm probably about a 6 at the moment on him.
So, in week 1, he was very good. He had 103 yards on 5 receptions, but only played 51% of snaps. I believe there was an injury cloud over his head that week. But even since then, still playing 77% of snaps week 2, and then last week, 83% of snaps. So he's still like on the field a lot, still like he had 4 receptions for only 38 yards, which isn't great. I'm a little bit worried. I would say maybe like a 5, but I'm not panicking.
He only got cleared to play against the Commanders like a couple of hours before the game. Yeah. Like if you had a look at draft leagues, Michael Mayer, the backup tight end for the Raiders, was getting picked up at an astronomical rate.
I had him, I think, in multiple leagues.
I'm worried because of Gino. There was half of football where he targeted him once. And it's like, what are you doing? He is your most reliable target. So I'll probably a 6, and I'm just keeping an eye on it at the moment. But look, he's still in the top 10 wide receivers. Top 10 tight ends in Supercoach at the moment. So tight end is a pretty hard position. It's a very up and down position. So look, if he's having a few bad games and he's still in the top 10, that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, a guy that plays for a team that got absolutely rocked on the weekend by the Panthers, Drake London. The Falcons scored a big fat 0 against Carolina.
I'm officially
Penix
worried.
was terrible.
Penix was so bad.
Penix was so bad. Drake London, their top receiver, with 55 yards.
Which he did well, considering they scored 0 to even to get 55 yards.
I would be, if I was a Drake London owner, which thankfully I'm not, I would be pretty toasty. Like I'm getting pretty warm in the panic meter. Like
I can't believe they scored 0 against.
I reckon I'm an 8 on Drake London. I'm pretty worried.
Yeah, I'll probably. Look, once again, this is who's in at quarterback. If Penix can't start producing better, do they turn back to Captain Kirk? There's a reason why he hasn't been moved on yet. Is all I'm thinking at the moment.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why he was moved on last year, though.
He was coming back from injury. Like I think we all forget that Kirk got injured and was playing with an injury and recovering from an injury.
I don't forget that, but I do remember that he's 37. He's old.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean shit anymore in the NFL. There's so many old
touch
dudes.
The quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. So look, I think like Kirk was awesome until then. Like he's been a consistent. He loves to throw the ball. I just think he had an off year last year because there was injuries.
I'm an owner and I'm really worried.
Yeah.
I'd be an 8. He's starting to lose money, and look, I thought Atlanta were going to be half decent this year, but at the moment they're letting me down.
Yeah.
I was pretty high on Drake London at the start of the season. Hasn't panned out at the moment. I'm considering trading because I thought last week would be the week where he probably has a breakout week, and that didn't happen. So. Probably an 8 in my worry scale.
It feels like it's like you're watching the water boil, and it's like not like full rolling boil yet, but there's just like those little bubbles that are starting to simmer at the surface for you. I think we've heard of your worries for a couple of weeks now.
Just a stressed out owner.
Look, Penix was 36 pass attempts for only 18 completions, 172 yards and 2 interceptions. The one thing I will say is, as Eden said, there was still 5 receptions to him and 55 yards. They're still targeting him. I am worried purely because the quarterback play is atrocious in Atlanta.
0 0 points against the Panthers.
It's the losing money which is becoming an issue as well. Like I thought Drake London would be gaining money at this stage, and he's not. He's going the opposite way, and he's losing $2 million plus. So
also got to buy
bad.
next week. So
I'm like, do I hold for one more week and hope for the best, or do I just cut
trade
my
him out when
losses?
he's got the buy? Yeah.
Hashtag YOLO.
Another guy that we know that there's some worries about is Malik Neighbours.
Oh, my panic station.
Yeah, I'll let Josh talk about Malik.
Go on, Clutsy.
I'm like a 7.5, I reckon, on this one. As I said earlier in the show, I was talking last week about how I wasn't too sure about keeping Neighbours. He had that huge game, though, for me, so I was pretty happy. But this is all going to come down to how well Russell Wilson plays. And ultimately, do they keep him in? Because he had one of the all-time shockers on the weekend. He was terrible.
2 catches from 7 targets for Neighbours this week for 13 yards.
Mate, but they just weren't using him. Like, the way that they were trying to... They weren't even looking his way. It was absolutely ridiculous. Like, every time Russ tried to throw the ball downfield, he got intercepted. They had no answers. And it's not like the Chiefs' defense is that good. Like, they had Chris Jones, but... I don't know. I think this is more so... I think this is a Russ issue, not a Neighbours issue.
The Russell Wilson experience.
Yeah, it's like... If you have a look at stats, Wilson's in the top 5 for passing yards, I believe. Oh, not anymore because of the weekend. But he was after 2 weeks.
Because he had that huge week last week against
Yeah,
the terrible Cowboys that... like 450 passing yards or something like that?
Yeah, so Neighbours absolutely ate and scored 66 points that week. And somehow he made money this week. But I'm definitely worried. He's coming up against the Chargers where I think Russ is going to struggle. I'd be more so keen if Jackson Dart comes in, but it's starting to look like... Do I get rid of Neighbours? Like, it's a lot of conversations I'm having at the moment. I'm definitely panicking.
I think it looks like that week last week where they just lit it up against the Cowboys. The more it goes on, it looks like that's not an indictment of what the Giants are capable of. It shows that that's what the Cowboys are capable of in terms of how shit their defense is. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think panic index on Malik Neighbours is a little toasty. I reckon, I'll probably be up around a 7 as well.
Yeah.
A guy that we did just touch on briefly before, Derrick Henry. Another fumble. He was frustrated too. He wasn't happy about it.
Yeah.
Are we panicking on Derrick Henry at the moment?
Probably got about a 1 out of 10 on this one.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't think you can panic on Henry. He's got runs on the board. It's as simple as that. And that Ravens offense is bloody scary. So I know they didn't win, but yeah.
If you've seen the way that this bloke trains, you know that he's not going to take this lightly. Yeah. Like, he does insane workouts. He works so hard on perfecting his craft. There's no way that he doesn't take this lightly. So I don't think there should be any panic on Derrick Henry. He's a set and forget sort of fella. Keep him in your lineup. Don't get rid of him.
Are you less panicked about Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry?
I don't think you should be panicked about either. Like, there's no reason to be panicked about either. They're 2 of the best running backs in the league and have been for this decade. Like, I think if you're panicking over literally the 2 best running backs of the last 5 to 10 years, you're an idiot.
I think someone that I'm panicking a little bit more on, because I'm not panicking on Derrick Henry either, but it's Brian Thomas Jr. From the Jags. I'm someone that owns him in multiple draft leagues, and I am concerned.
Yeah, he's lost $2 million in Supercoach so far. He's owned by 6% of coaches. He's only scored 42 points all year. He was never someone that I was really looking at in a Supercoach aspect. I just wasn't too sure on Trevor Lawrence. I picked him up in a lot of draft leagues just because he fell to me. But he is in his 2nd year. I think they're still trying to work out what to do down there in Jacksonville. So I personally never would have had him in the first place in Supercoach because there's so many better options. But yeah, it's like if you're an owner, my panic's probably like a 7, 8 out of 10, something like that.
I'd be stressed if I owned him, to be honest.
I don't think any of us are owners, but if I did have him in my team, I think I would no longer have him in my team come Thursday night football this week.
I don't know. Like, I haven't really looked at his stats too much. I'm trying to offload him in other leagues. But this year already, like according to this, like 7 targets, 1 reception in the first week, 12 targets, 4 receptions against the Bengals, 6 targets, 2 receptions. Is it a case of...
They're still targeting him.
That's the thing.
He's getting heaps of targets.
I just think...
He's not catching them.
Yeah, is it bad? Is he just not catching them, or is it being terrible throwing? They're still 2-1 on the season. They'll work it out, but I'd still be panicked at the moment because he's losing money heaps.
See, like, because looking at like the very sad Jaguars fans online, it seems like because they're sort of split between like who they're blaming, whether they're blaming Trevor Lawrence or blaming Brian Thomas.
Yeah,
I think like a lot of them are blaming Brian Thomas and wanting to back Lawrence, but I wonder if that's just because they're so much more invested in Trevor Lawrence being their Lord and Savior and their hero.
Yeah.
For going forward. So whichever way you look at it, if I was an owner, I would be extremely concerned.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on to trades this week, talking about some of the guys that we're concerned about. So we'll start with you, Clutsy, since you seem to be the all-knowing eye at the moment.
Okay, apparently I'm the all-knowing eye, but I am with Eden on this player. What I'm looking at doing, I haven't locked anything in yet this week because I'm still a little bit too nervous. But in the running back room, I'm looking at getting rid of Bucky Irving. Now, I'm high on Bucky Irving. I'm a big fan of Bucky Irving. I've got him in multiple draft leagues, but I think there's too much of a tandem down there in Tampa. Rashad White seems to get a lot of goal line carries. They're throwing the ball a lot. I think if you're a receiver, you're going to cook down there. Like Egbuka's been doing really well. So what I'm actually doing is I'm looking towards it and I'm going, who doesn't have that much competition of people I don't have? Now, that may sound a bit silly, me saying that, considering I've got Jamar Gibbs and Bijan Robinson, who Robinson tends to split carries with Algier if they get far ahead. Gibbs always is going to split carries with Montgomery. I'm happy to have those guys because they're going to produce regardless. Bucky hasn't been producing as much. Losing those goal line carries has really got me a bit worried. So I'm looking at Jordan Mason from the Vikings. Eden, I know you're high on him as well. He's got a break even of 1 this week. He scored 47 this week and has only scored 71 points all year, which people might go, why would you bring him in? Reason for bringing him in, Aaron Jones.
Why is this not a knee-jerk reaction?
It's not a knee-jerk reaction because Jordan Mason is the clear-cut number 1 running back in Minnesota now.
And I think he will be when Jones comes back. There's my prediction.
I think Jones is old, man. I think Jones is done. He's on IR. Who knows when he's coming back? I'm not sure if it's season ending for him. We'll quickly search that up. But I just think at the moment, the way I'm looking at it is who are guys who are going to perform because they've got no one to compete with.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think Jordan Mason also has runs on the board based on last year.
Yeah, he's so explosive. I stashed him in some fantasy leagues because I thought if he got a go, he'd be an absolute gun.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great trade. He's going to go off $1 million this week. He was averaging over 5 yards a carry easily. Like he is.
For me, the big thing for me is he's 11.35 mil at the moment and looking to go up. Bucky Irving's 15.04 with a break even of 23. And games that he's got coming up include Philly, Seattle, San Fran, Detroit. Then he's got New England, Buffalo, Rams, Arizona. Like there's a lot of tough games to... What I might do is I might look at bringing Bucky back towards the end of the season when he has an easier run against New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina twice, and Miami. I might look at that. But for the moment, I think Mason's going to become that clear-cut number 1. And Aaron Jones is quite old these days. He's 30 years old, turning 31 in December. We know that once you get over 30 as a running back, your time's pretty much up. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to put my faith in Jordan Mason. He had a great game on the weekend. He's relatively young. Very, very keen on him. That's one trade I'm doing. The other trade I'm looking at is CD Lamb for Puka Nacua. CD's out for a minimum of 4 weeks if he goes on IR.
Yeah. That's
very straightforward.
That's the most popular trade this week.
Yeah, as it should be. I think Puka's that clear-cut number 1. So I think, that just speaks for itself. Other things I have been considering doing, I am looking at getting rid of Neighbours early. And I don't know who I bring in, but I just think there's an opportunity. I think the big thing I want to do is work towards getting Jonathan Taylor in my team. Now, I think I'm going to have to probably trade Neighbours and either Henderson or Shanti, which I know I said I'd keep Henderson just ticking away on my bench because I think he's going to go off soon. But really going to have a look at who goes off in the next few weeks, because if I don't pull the trigger soon on Taylor, I'm not going to be able to get him because he's just going to keep going up in value. So, I am still considering doing like a Neighbours to... there's a couple of different options I was looking at. Man, I even had a look at Keenan Allen as a possible option, but
he's looked back this year.
Yeah, I think he's just going to keep getting lots of targets, but yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. I'm pretty keen on just. I need to probably stop doing as many trades soon.
Yeah.
But with the amount of injuries already, like I might even try and swap a Neighbours to a Smith and Jigba. And then that frees up $4 million.
Yeah. I'm pretty conscious of trades and burning them. I'm at the moment. I say that I'm only going to do one this week, and I think that's Chase Brown just straight into the bin. Kick the bin down the road. And bring in Jordan Mason. He'll have 4 or 5 weeks here with no competition, and he could go up $6-7 million. It's really interesting, actually. I was reading this, that the Pro Football Focus, which is one of the leading sports analytics in the NFL, actually has him as the second highest rated running back in the NFL at the moment because of how well he played on the weekend.
So would you recommend him to people over guys like Quinshon Judkins? Because I'm in a position where I could also, I think, in theory, bring him in. But would you recommend him to people over guys like Quinshon Judkins, and Cam Scatterbo this week?
If you can afford him, yes. He's going because Mason's going to make money as well, and then Mason's going to make money, and perhaps in 6-7 weeks you can trade him for one of these absolute elite tier running backs and do a straight swap. So that's my main reason, and I'm really confident he's going to have a huge impact.
Also on that point, like Mason's in the Vikings, who are Super Bowl contenders. Like, why would you're picking someone who's in a team who's consistently good? If you are going for a Scatterbo, if you got the option to go Mason, but you pick a Scatterbo or a Judkins, who those two teams, the Giants and the Browns, are going to be competing for top 5 picks. You know they're not good football teams. If they get behind by too much, are those guys going to start running the ball? Like if they're 20 points behind at half time, they're not going to run the ball in the second half.
I'm just excited to say goodbye to Chase Brown, to be honest.
Yeah, I think your biggest thing from last week, mate, was keeping Chase Brown. I
was talking about trading him as well. What about you, Funky? What are you doing?
Lamb gone. I'm also currently looking at trading out Bucky Irving. I am not saving my trades. I hate my team and I'm just letting them rip.
Live fast, mate.
Yeah, so I've got CeeDee Lamb, Bucky Irving, and as it currently stands at the moment, RJ Harvey, as much as it breaks my heart. RJ Harvey, I think, is also, I think he's been kicked off the roster. I'm bringing Judkins in. I think that this was only his second game and he was absolutely fed. I think I'm going him over Scatterbo as well because I think it gives me a little bit more leeway in terms of I'm not spending as much cash to bring him in. Like he hasn't gone up in price yet, so it'll leave me with a little bit more money in the bank. I'll keep as these trades I've got currently stand, I'll have a bit over $5 million in the bank. So I'll go Judkins in. A guy that I'm looking at to bring in, well, for starters, Jonathan Taylor, certified gun. We've spoken about him. He's, I think, the top running back option to get in this week. And to fund that, I'm going Lamb down to Tyquan Thornton, the receiver from Kansas City. He's a guy that was waived by the Patriots.
Yeah.
But he's played the first 3 weeks, 72%, 75%, 76% of snaps. So he's like out there, like he is on the field a lot. Had 9 targets this week, 5 catches, 71 yards and a touchdown. Like Pat Mahomes is looking for this bloke. The only concern is that they are playing the Ravens, but even then, like the Ravens have allowed a lot of points this week. I am concerned about when Xavier Worthy will come back and when Rashee Rice will eventually come back. But I think as it currently stands as a cash grab, like he's got a negative 25 break even.
Yeah.
For me, like this, it's not a long-term buy. Tyquan Thornton is a guy that I will be looking to, get out in a few weeks. Like he made $2.3 million this week.
Yeah.
I think that he's a pretty good short-term solution at receiver.
See, I was having a look at one of my trades I was originally going to do before we started recording, I had a couple of notes down, was Irving for Taylor, Genty for Mason, and then get rid of CD for a cheap receiver. Now, I started looking at people like Tyquan Thornton and that, but my biggest issue when you brought it up, Rashee Rice is coming back, Xavier Worthy's coming back. Where does Thornton stand? Because we know that they already like Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know how, for me, I wouldn't be wanting to bring in Thornton personally because I'm going to be trading him out in 4 to 5 weeks' time anyway. So it's like a double trade in my opinion. But look, if you need to do a temporary cash grab for something like that, maybe that's a good option. But just getting up the depth chart here now for Kansas. So Worthy's out. You got Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton, Rashee Rice, Juju Smith-Schuster. In an ideal world, you've got Rice, Worthy, and Brown as your starting wide receivers. Tyquan Thornton is ahead of Smith-Schuster there, but I don't know. I just think down the line, when you've got 3 healthy receivers, he's not going to get much of a look.
Yeah, so Rice still has a few weeks to go yet. So he was a 6-week suspension. So he's still got 3 weeks out yet.
Yeah.
And Worthy, I think that even when he comes back, because we see this with dislocated shoulders. For example, even to go to a different sport in the AFL on the weekend, we saw Jared Berry come back and re-dislocate it. So
yeah,
dislocated shoulders are something that you don't really want to play around with, and that I think that they could potentially be a bit cautious with him because there is that high re-injury rate with injuries like that. For those reasons, I think that he's a decent option for the next 3 weeks or so. Beyond that, you're probably looking at addition him for someone that's a bit of a better option. You know, you never know, probably either a better cheapie or you upgrade him to someone else.
Yeah.
But for the moment, and considering the cash, because I could also go Trey Tucker. I could go Trey Tucker, but I'm a bit more concerned that Trey Tucker's just a one-off. I think Tyquan Thornton's an actual better option. Trey Tucker's got a negative 24 break even and Tyquan Thornton's got a negative 25. So it's pretty much the same there.
Yeah.
I just think that Thornton's just a bit of a better option for the next few weeks.
Yeah. As you said, you'd be only looking at him for 3 weeks. I'm seeing it as a double trade. We're not personally, if I've only got...
after. So they got Baltimore, Jacksonville, and then Detroit.
If I've only got 20... The way I'm looking at it, I've got 23 trades left. I'm doing a double trade on a bloke I'm using for 3 weeks. I probably wouldn't be getting him in. But that's just me.
Boys, Allen, Lamar, who are captaining?
I'm captaining Josh Allen this week against New Orleans. I think New Orleans is a terrible team. Look,
they suck.
Lamar.
They do. I'm really tempted by Lamar in a big game against the Chiefs.
Lamar is playing at 6:25. Josh Allen is playing at
3 a.m., isn't it?
3 a.m.
Yep.
If you're a sicko like me and you want to get up nice and early.
Don't have work on Mondays.
Maybe we VC loop this one. And if Allen scores anything over 50, I'm probably...
Would the Bills bench Allen if they were up by a shitload in the last quarter?
Yeah, my assumption is if they're up by that many...
He's already had a day.
Yeah. When did they bench him last week? Last week when did he get last week? Yeah, he only got 22 against the Jets and then they benched him. I don't know. I think it's worth a loop. And then, Lamar's going to perform again. Lamar has all the potential in the world to just torch the Chiefs, after the last couple of weeks. Yeah. But, maybe I think it's a loop option this week.
Would you consider captaining or VCing anyone that's not one of your 2-gun receivers this week?
The only one I'd probably be in consideration for is I'll go either Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Because he's got the Browns.
In the
early slate.
Or Jamar Gibbs.
Yeah.
But I think it's silly to go past the other fellas.
I'm sticking to a winning formula. I'm going to go the captain on Lamar and the vice captain on Allen.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to stick to my losing formula and just go straight C on Allen. The reason is because I'm a bit worried with looping this year, and we've seen that Tyler Loop has actually been pretty good so far. Like he's averaging 20 points a game. The only way that I'm looping is by getting like Ryan Cohen off the bench.
Yeah. But if he doesn't play, those points come in, don't they?
As in,
so if Coe doesn't play and you've got him captain, Loop's points should come in, shouldn't they? So then you've got someone playing at your kicker position.
Potentially.
Who knows? But we'll have to look into that a bit more. But we'll see what happens.
You okay, mate?
A bit to contemplate.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not okay. I'm sitting outside the top 5,000.
The only way is up.
That's it.
That's wrong. It can always get worse. Just remember, it can always get worse from here. I could be sitting 6,000 next week if I go the wrong way.
Yeah, look, there's a strong possibility of that happening as well.
The way it has been going at the moment. Well, anyway, let's hope that doesn't happen when you guys hopefully catch us next week on the show. Remember, if you haven't already, please join the Unlimited League code. You're probably knocking me off at the moment, but if you think that you can knock off these other two legends, the code is 819860, 819860 again. If you're a subscriber and you win $1,000, if you're not, 500. And then 500 to top ranked subscriber. Make sure that you're giving us a like on the socials as well. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Weekly articles are on the website. And make sure that you subscribe to the podcast as well. A big week 4 coming up this week. Make sure that you're tuning in next week to see all the action on the NFL's Week 5.